So hello, everybody.
Yeah, I'll start with the introduction of my colleague. But first, we're talking today about interconnecting worlds. We're not talking about Star Wars anymore. We're talking about digital worlds, and we're staying down to earth in our worlds with different digital worlds, different digital universes that we want to connect. So we will have the chance to tell you and to show you what we do in these projects. Working on this and presenting today is my colleague David Rexton, pretty known in the Knowledge Center as he's pretty active there. So David is an avid FME user since 10 years, so happy anniversary of FME using. He's a certified trainer, not certified trainer actually. He's a certified professional and certified FME server specialist working for us on the big projects, and also very helpful for us internally to make the code reviews and support our colleagues.
And I'm here today with my colleague Jean-Luc Miseret. He's not certified, but he's a certified fan of FME since 2011. I think we all are at Answer. Jean-Luc is also the deputy director, so he's also my boss. And he used to be a surveyor, I think, before that. So we're going to present a couple of stories today that show how you can leverage the different APIs with FME Cloud to present stories, a bit of storytelling. And a good story also makes for a great project. And we have two different athletes, so two different stories to present today. We have one Swiss guy that's called Pascal Bourquin. It's the guy on the photo. He kind of hit a late midlife crisis where he decided he wanted to walk all the Swiss footpaths before 80 years old. And that is 65,000 kilometers of footpaths. So he wants to cover 100% of all the footpaths in Switzerland. And there is a song called La Vie en Rose. I don't know if you know that, but it's an old song by Edith Piaf, I think. Right. So the signposts for the footpaths in Switzerland are yellow, so he kind of took that and switched it around and said, like, this is my life in yellow. That's why it's called Life in Yellow.
Yeah, it's really talking about a life project. He started there for a 27-year project. So can you imagine the guy walking or hiking 3 days a week until he goes to retirement, and then afterwards he's planning on walking 5 days a week, and he keeps walking and walking. I kept walking and walking, so yeah.
And we have to remember, this is a guy who holds a job. This is his spare time. I think he's like working 80%, so he has like 1 day off per week in addition to his weekends to do this. So it's a pretty hectic program. Our challenge with him was that Jean-Luc rather, got into talks with him because he's a very interesting personality. He works for television in Switzerland. And he had a lot of existing data. That means that he was kind of starting by himself quietly. He did it for himself. He didn't want sponsors to begin with. So his GIS solution was actually printing maps and putting a highlighter on the maps and then gluing them together and scanning them and whatnot.
No, that was worse than that. His GIS tool so far was to take the National Geoportal of Switzerland, make a screen capture, open the screen capture in Photoshop, and then he would stitch all his Photoshop extracts together and kind of glue them into a big JPEG image, which was at the time where I started looking at him and talking to him, he had done about 10%, and his JPEG was about 15 megs or something, so nobody could use it anymore. And he was spending so much time cutting on the edges to make sure that two of those pieces, when they stitched together, they wouldn't overlap. So it was really, it's not even Geo 1.0, it's Geo -1.0, I would say.
Yeah, it was kind of Magellan, that solution. Yep. So he wanted to reuse the data. He wanted certainly to make this a lot easier because he was sick and tired of stitching those tiles together and sitting there with its highlighter and doing print screens and whatnot. It simply didn't scale. So we needed to do something more automated for him. Then we have a different adventure. This is a Swiss young couple, Ben and Tess. Ben is actually a geometrician, so he kind of had an idea what was possible. So he didn't start off doing something like screen captures and stuff. They took, how long is it? Like 2 years off
Yeah, well, it started with 1.5 years, so that's the original idea, and then they say we'll see what happens after that if we're still biking hungry, or if we still like each other, or if we can still support each other. So yeah, that's the original idea, is 1.5 year.
Yeah. So just to put Pascal Bourquin's life project into perspective here, they're going to bike that thing from Anchorage and all the way down to the southern tip of Chile. That's 30,000 kilometers. That's like not even halfway the distance that Pascal Bourquin is going to do on foot. Just to put that into perspective. Well, granted, they are going to do that in like 1 or 2 years. Pascal Bourquin is going to use more than 20, but still. But the use case is similar, but the story is very different.
Yeah, actually, I've never thought of that way, but I should tell Pascal Bourquin that his challenge is about going from Anchorage to Ushuaia and back on foot.
With a detour. Their challenge was that they are going to be in a lot of terrain where they don't have a lot of internet. And when they have internet, it's like spotty. They would only have that in like coffee shops and restaurants, but they have a very, very tight budget, so they're tenting most of the way. So no hotel Wi-Fi and stuff like that. Also interesting to note, they have a very, very funny bike. It's like a tandem bike, but only with 2 wheels, where Tess there is she's kind of like half recumbent on the front over the front wheel. I'm not sure if you can see the silhouette on the bottom right corner there. You can kind of get a feel for the bike. So it's very particular, and they have like a trailer that they tow along. So it's, I'm sure they are.
Yeah, there were 2 reasons for that type of bike. First, Tess is not that much into biking as Ben was. So she said, I'm not sure my butt can handle that many kilometers sitting on a regular saddle. That's one thing. And second, she said, I'm not going to look at my boyfriend's back for 18 months. So they had to find something else.
And what we've seen, that they make very nice photos because she's in a perfect position to handle a selfie stick while they're biking. So she's gotten really good at that. So yeah. So we were thinking about this, and we did this as like a kind of a sponsorship projects, both of them. That means that we see it as a possibility to build our competence and to do interesting stuff and also tell a story at the same time. And we thought what would be better, could be better than to use FME Cloud, because basically this is a super example of cloud technology, and it's perfect for cloud technology.
Yeah, the background there is always pretty hard to tell a paying client, well, I have no idea about this, but I'll give it a try. Whereas here at the sponsorship project, we can say, oh, I just read something, just give it a try, try this. Does it work? It takes a bit more time. We don't have time for this, that's fine. We just put it aside and do something else. Yep.
Exactly. So let's just show the solution that we used for, this is like a high-level overview. I'm going to come back to the details later, but this is kind of a high-level overview of how we did the data acquisition from the Ben and Tess biking and to the point where we have something in ArcGIS online that we can visualize on the website. I'm going to show that in more detail later. No?
No.
Apparently, we don't have more detail later, no. So I'll supply the detail now. So if you look on the top left, there is like a GPX and a Gmail symbol. What happens is when they bike, they have a GPS mounted on a handlebar. And they download the GPX file from the GPS device, and I actually just mail it to a special Gmail account that we set up for them.
We're not going to give you the address. We don't want any spam on this.
Yeah. But that's just like a one-way Gmail account, which they can just send mail to. And then FME server has a subscription service pointed to that inbox. So it kind of monitors the inbox to see when a GPX file has arrived, and it picks it up.
So yeah. Second process, that one, the green one there, pretty cool. So when
number 2?
Yeah, when number 2 there. When they write a blog post, then they would go to a Google spreadsheet online and add a line there, add a record saying that blog is located at this lot and lawn. This is the title of my blog, and this is the link to my WordPress blog. That's it. So they just fill up one extra line on the Google spreadsheet, and there the FME Cloud goes and picks up that, and then creates a point on which you can click and reach your blog.
So actually, that spreadsheet is just a geocoding of their blog post. And then lastly, number 3 at the bottom there with a camera. They take a lot of photos when they're driving along, not only with a selfie stick. And they publish, the best ones they publish on Flickr, and they publish them with tags, etc. And using the Flickr API, FME Cloud can also pick up new photos there. And using the API in Flickr, we can also get the geolocation of the photos. So everything is then melted together in FME Cloud, and we write it out to ArcGIS Online. So what we do, we generalize the GPX track because you can get a lot of spikes there. We also put some points for blog posts, and we also generate some statistics that they can also integrate into their web page, which in the end looks like this. And there you see the track, the plan track. You see the red squares. What are those again?
That's the blog posts. So the red squares are the blog posts, and yeah, they don't have that many photos actually.
Yeah, and you can see they're not done yet. They're still biking.
Current status: they crossed Panama Canal last week, so they're pretty much halfway.
Yeah. And then we have the crazy guy. That's the web page. We're going to show that later. Crazy guy needs a crazy architecture. So this is pretty interesting. I'm going to break it up a little bit because otherwise it gets too much, but you're going to recognize some of the steps here. So this is kind of a simplified overview, and you see that it's very similar to the one we did for Ben and Tess. He mails a GPX file from he has like a Garmin watch. He downloads the GPX track and sends it to this Gmail account that is monitored by FME Cloud. He is posting photos to his Flickr account as well. What is a bit particular for him is that he has particular tags for each stage of his journey. So he numbers all his stages basically.
Yeah, he's currently around stage 360 or something.
Yeah. So he tags his photos with a particular tag that we pick up so we can associate the photos with the right GPX track, etc. And then he also enters the tag number into, you see the Geopol cloud under there. I'm not sure who were there yesterday for our Geopol presentation, but it's like a special workspace where you can enter a tag number into a workspace as a parameter, and it gets matched with the Flickr tag.
Yeah, what that is pretty much a trigger. He's saying, I'm done with all my photo georeferencing, I've tagged them correctly, they're well positioned. Then he's sending us the tag number to that Geopol, and that triggers the pulling out of the photos out of the Flickr API.
Yeah. And then in the end, as for the other one, we publish that to ArcGIS Online. And then it's visualized in a web application that we wrote using AngularJS. If you know, that's a JavaScript library where you also can integrate mapping components. Then there are some additional components here. Notably, there's a scheduler.
Well, that's funny here. The geek among you will probably say, how come you have an extra FME server whereas you were using an FME Cloud before? Well, what that is here with 65,000 kilometers, if you're talking about feature service, Esri feature service like line objects, that would be way too much and performance would be absolutely horrible. So we used the Esri vector tiles components. That was part of the fun as well, to generate them vector tiles. But if you want to generate the vector tiles, then you need FME 2017 to do it. And our FME Cloud is currently in the 2016 version. So we are running in a hybrid architecture for now, saying that we're scheduling our FME 2017 component to work with the Esri vector tiles, generate them, and then push them up to ArcGIS Online as well.
I'm guessing we're going to integrate that later on, right? When we get to upgrade our cloud account.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. And he's generating a lot of data. So he's had some near accidents before where he kind of lost a bit of data and a bit of photos, etc. And he's very nervous about this, seeing this is like a 20+ year project. And you can just imagine yourself if you have like, do you have any files on your PC that's like 20 years old today? It's like, I'm not even sure you can open it. So he takes a lot of backups and he spreads them out. So there is there's a schedule component that kind of extracts via workspace a lot of data and packs it down and zips it and sends it to him by mail, actually.
Yeah, with that, we also want to avoid the black box effect of ArcGIS Online, saying I rely on ArcGIS Online for the next 20 years. Well, I don't know. It might last, but you never know.
Yeah.
So we kind of say we need something. We need to cover our backs, and yeah, shapefile's a good friend there because it's probably will still be there in 20 years.
From a technologist's point of view, of course, we would have preferred to do something like S3 and SQS and whatnot, something a bit more modern and a bit more cool and hip. But the problem is that Pascal Bourquin, he's not a technologist at all. He's a journalist, and he likes things that he can touch and feel. And he likes paper,
yeah,
and he likes TV. He likes.
Yeah, remember he's just coming out of the Photoshop era, so.
Yeah. So
we got to take it easy and not push him to the cloud too fast.
That's where we're starting off, like with email and stuff, because he knows how that works. So not too threatening. Yeah. And what's happening here, Jean-Luc?
Yeah. So once we have all our data on ArcGIS Online, he's kind of picky. He's a perfectionist. So he said, I'd like to be able to edit and then move a bit my photo and kind of move my points, make it look good. So we created for him just a little simple ArcGIS Online portal where you can go and edit. You can do that at any time. That's his stuff. Then we published to our front-end Angular portal. Then and as well we produced an iframe because he wanted to put an iframe on his own blog and stuff. That's marketing, nothing.
But I think it was around there the phrase was coined that just because we do this for free doesn't mean that it has to look like crap.
Yeah.
So it's
a funny story there. He said we invited him at our World Tour event, and he made fantastic presentation, lots of photos. He makes beautiful photos. We'll see later. And he said, well, trouble with the guys from NASA is that I sometimes have to tell them that my project should look better than a student's project. So thanks very much. That's how we work. Hey, guy, we're doing this for free,
and we're not designers, so no. So there you go. Yeah, we also experimented with some Instagram APIs and stuff, and we also tried some live tracking via Facebook APIs. Technically, everything's possible, but it was just too much. It was just an overload. Yeah. So we, Instagram and Facebook APIs, we had them, we tested them, but we just put it away, actually. It was just too much.
In live tracking, was considering it as a way of safety. It's sometimes pretty high in the mountains. They say, oh, I got to be tracked to be safe. And then after a week of trying, he said, I want to be able to stop under a tree or go off the path for a piss without someone calling me. So that's fine. Just drop it.
Yeah. Imagine that privacy in the life of the cloud.
Yeah, for 27 years you're being tracked. Talk about sociology.
Yeah. So can just quickly show the web page.
So in yellow is the target. That's the 65,000 kilometers. And red is what he's done. So he's got what he called 3 workplaces, actually. The one on the top, that's where he lives. That's where he comes from. And the other 2 there. So yeah, for those of who know Switzerland,
there's some issue with the tiles here, but I'm not sure what it is. But
no, they're the raster tiles, so they're not from us.
Yeah.
The bottom third, or
this one,
2/3 of the map, that's the Alps. So
yeah.
it's pretty high and rough stuff.
The Alps are around here.
Yep. The bottom, the bit on the top that's pretty much all red covered, that's Jura Mountains. So we're talking there about 1,600 meters at the most. So it's hills, but it's still makeable. And in the middle, you got the plateau, which is where all economy is. And that's pretty, it's flat. As long as Switzerland could be flat. Hans, you know what flat is. Hans is a Dutchman. So. It's more flat. So he's considered this in his way of doing. He said, I will start around my place. That's pretty easy with transportation. I will try to do as much Alps while I'm still young, so in my 50s, and I'll do the flat part when I'm old, when I have to go with a stroller. He'd probably have hips and knees completely wrecked by then.
We should probably add that this guy, he's no stranger to walking or running because he has done like ultra trail marathons and whatnot, and he's been running since he was a kid, like professionally and actively.
Yeah, his midlife crisis occurred first when it was on top of Annapurna, and he's no on Aconcagua. And
was it the second time or the first time?
Yeah, that was something. But it was above 6,000 meters, and he said, "Well, what's next now? Should I go to Everest or do something else with my life?" He said, "Everest is too crowded, too easy for me, so I do something else. I stay in Switzerland." Yeah. Tu zoom up? Yeah. So that's what it looks like, and when we zoom in, then you'll see that raster tile effect or vector tile effect coming. So you saw the lines popping. If you move around a bit.
Can zoom a bit here.
Yeah, but still in the cache there. And in the background, the raster tiles you see they're provided directly as VMTS service from Swiss Topo, which is the national mapping agency. So we're only using them. And that's a very good service. It's been praised all over the world for great quality, and we pride ourselves to say that our vector tiles are much faster than theirs.
And when he does a lot of zigzag, that's not because he's lost, but because it's very steep.
There's no alcohol problem there in the zigzag.
Yeah.
Just that he's following the path.
Yeah.
Tu pan un petit peu? Yeah. So see how it develops, and you see how fast it is with these vector tiles, how good it works. That's really good. We started really with them with the first release of them vector tiles on ArcGIS Online, and they really work great.
And you can see this guy, he's pretty maniac about doing everything, like really everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then as you see, there's like these black camera symbols all over the place. Those are his photos that he took along the way, and he like curates his photos, so he only uploads the best ones. And we pull those from this Flickr API, as I told you. And you can see here when you click on them, you get like a small preview. And then later on, you can also click on the photos too. And this is actually the view from this standpoint, that day. That is like his snapshot from that day. So he sees a lot of spectacular stuff. I'm not sure if I can find something like. De-zoom. I'm not used to this trackpad, but okay.
Not use the website. There. And there you start seeing the yellow points. So yellow points are generated. That's the centroid of all photos for one stage.
Let's say up here where it says 339. That's his stage number 339.
So if you click on it.
Okay.
There you get the pop-up, which shows the series of all 10 photos of that day. So you can, that way. You can go from one to the other.
That was a good one.
Yeah, it's pretty good stage.
And he makes some really nice photos. And sometimes he sees stuff because he's so much out there. He sees animals and he sees sunsets that otherwise you'd never see because he's out there, let's say midday or very early. He gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go up these spots. So he sees a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and the stages we're here in kind of good weather. So he says when weather's not good, when I'm not feeling good, when I'm feeling tired, and so he just changes his point of view. And he said, "Oh, today I'll just take photos of snails or mushrooms," and then the day after it's just beautiful and great. So he'll take wide-angle photos. He said, "Oh, it's just fantastic the way he completely changed the way to look at his life, saying I'll consider the next step, one step after the other, and keep going." Yep. I went with him on one stage, and I'm doing lots of sports, but I had really a hard time following him. He took a photo at the top of first slam. I was completely destroyed.
He didn't tell me that he had planned an outing with Pascal Bourquin.
Yep.
So I saw that on the Facebook feed. I think it was like one of the weekend days, and you were there, and you were like completely red and standing next to him, and he looked like he was like fresh out of the shower, Pascal Bourquin, because it was just started.
It was there like 6 minutes.
So how many altitude meters did you do during that day?
On one day we did 29 kilometers, 1,800 meters D plus in 6 hours. So
Yeah.
That's normal day in the office for him.
Yeah. So we don't do that anymore.
Oh well, maybe.
So this was to show a bit the capabilities of using FME Cloud in particular, but also when you combine it with ArcGIS Online and with a lot of open APIs. There are really a lot of APIs out there, and it's mostly the imagination that sets the limit. I would say like the top 3 transformers we were using that were really helpful here was the string searcher to extract stuff from replies and build different kinds of information. We use a lot of regexp in there. And we also use a lot of JSON to extract and to flatten, etc., to massage the JSON into to some sort of shape, because a lot of these APIs use JSON to communicate, which is, I think is great. XML has its place, but I think JSON has an even better place. But of course, that we won't say that loud.
No, that's right. You must say you like XML. So
yeah,
well, you're not
yeah.
invited anymore.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you just submit for presentation and never get to present. You don't know why.
Yeah. So yeah. So just to recap, this was then the
whole picture.
The whole picture, yeah, exactly. Do you have any questions for this? Yeah. So with FME Cloud, anything can be connected, and it's up to you how you want to do it and for what for.
Yeah. So don't hesitate to contact us. Any question? Yes?
One question. When you look at the map, I noticed that he has to walk many of these trails twice to cover the whole thing. And could it be possible to use like an external route planning service, like traveling salesman for
Yes.
something to like to
In,
help him?
in theory, you could. Yeah, you maybe you could, but then you have so many factors talking about where can he stop with the train? Is that a rainy day where he wants to do a bit less, or is he tired, or whatever? It's just unsustainable. And his philosophy there is to say, I set the rules. It's my game. If someone wants to complain, first they have to walk the first 10,000 kilometers, then we'll talk. So he said, if I'm not actually really going through a path, who cares? So he kind of compensates. He just says, okay, here I've walked 3 kilometers twice, then I probably won't have to go to that cul-de-sac, which is going to the border and coming back, just no interest. So he kind of plays with it and says, in general, at the bottom line of the project, I will have walked my 65,000 kilometers and even more. But where exactly I've been, who cares?
Yeah. It's a good question, and we got exactly the same question during the world tour when he was there, and he replied. And somebody asked, like, how much time do you spend planning each of these outings? And actually, I was surprised because he spends, well, upwards of an hour every time before doing an outing, just planning, looking at the map, looking at the terrain, seeing what did he do yesterday, what's going to do tomorrow. Is he going to work tomorrow, or is he going to do an outing tomorrow, which is even more ambitious? Then he kind of tones it down, selects maybe plays a little bit with the different sections to kind of level it out and kind of, and it plays back to what Jean-Luc just said. This is his baby, so he doesn't want to give the control of too much to technology. He's a little bit old-fashioned like that. But it's a great question, and I'm sure it would have been possible. But there you go.
Any other? Thanks very much, then.
Thank you.
Thank you.